How are you?
I'm very well, my friend. How are you? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good. I fancy another cold one. A nice, refreshing cold one. And by one, I mean this. Whatever we're doing right now.
Oh, okay. A cold open. I wasn't going to bring this up, but you've done it again. Where I swear, every single cold open we've done, you do a perfect advertisement voice, but then no ad comes because we don't have any ad. You'd always be like, Matthew, during these cold opens, I really love tap water. My tap gives out the best cold water ever.
This
Tap
episode is
water.
sponsored by tap water. The water that comes right out of your tap.
From your tap, and then eventually, after the process of digestion and all of that, it will go back into the toilet. Tap water.
From my tap, and eventually through months of filtration into your tap. Tap water. Recycled since the beginning
forever.
of taps. Yeah. So we're doing this as a new thing now, aren't we? Cold opens.
Yeah.
I think it's great because it's evergreen. Doesn't have to be tied down to a particular period. Every bit of content that follows this in this episode won't be evergreen, but this very specific intro, it'll be fine.
This could be anything.
It could. It might as well just be anything. Fantastic. Speaking of cold opens, here's the cold opening ending. Followed by the jingle.
Now the jingle.
Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on a second. We haven't even introduced ourselves. My name is Leslie, and I am one half of this podcast called Chatting Pitch. I'm joined with my co-host right in front of me,
Matthew D. Smith. Thank you for joining us. If this is the first time you've joined us, we are Chatting Pitch, where we talk movies and TV shows, and we give our views on things, but then we pitch some ideas afterwards as well. That's our whole thing. I sold it really well, didn't I?
You did, and
we're getting better.
Not to be confused with football pitches, as we described before, or the pitch of music is not going to be that one either. Not pitchforks, and I'm sure there are other ones out there.
Although it's good to know that we can fall back on something if the movie thing doesn't work. Yeah. We can keep the name, and we can talk about.
I wonder if there is a pitchfork podcast out there, because if there is, then I think it's time for a collaboration.
Oh, yeah, collaborate. I thought we were going to sue their butts off and take them for all they're worth.
I think what we should do is do some market research and look at every podcast that has the word pitch in it and just say, hey, we know we talk about nothing to do with your podcast, but can we just... Come on. There's something there,
You pitch.
Yeah.
Come on, it's a match made in heaven. And then if they say no, we sue their butts off.
Speaking of suing, here's the jingle. Wow, what a wonderful time to be alive. There has been a brand new movie that came out over the weekend.
What a wicked time to be alive.
That's my wicked laugh.
Oh, is that you if you were the great witch of the way?
Yeah, the way kid. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah, in case you haven't noticed, we both watched, well, actually, one of us watched all of it. So tell me what happened to you, Matthew, over the weekend.
Oh, well, okay, we can get into it now. Yeah, I was going to give a little clue. I was going to say.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it later then. Let's do it later.
Well, let's just say that circumstances really rained on my parade. Let's say the reviews are flooding in, but mine won't be. Let's just say that my cinema screen flooded and they had to stop the showing.
Hey, mate, you just dropped a clue and then just straight up answered the clue.
I answered nothing. I give away nothing.
Okay, so tell me, your cinema flooded halfway through the movie? I'm
Yeah.
assuming? You said about 90 minutes in.
Yeah, about
Your
90
cinema
minutes
flooded.
in. For anyone who's seen the film, it was just as it was really great timing, actually.
Which song was it?
Just as Ariana Grande was singing the words "You're popular" or something like that, the manager,
I had a feeling it was going to be that one.
The manager appeared to say that the movie was going to be switched off. So I love that ironic bit of timing. But yeah, it was.
I was really hoping that it would be one of those situations where it goes like, you know, when the old school film like starts rolling and then you're watching it in the switch. It's like, you gotta be popular. You gotta be popular. Excuse me, everyone. We're gonna have to ask everyone to vacate the premises.
I mean, I think he may have actually been killed if it had gotten to Defying Gravity.
Okay, sure.
The whole set, we were pretty much in a packed screening, and
how
the whole
bad
screening
was it ankle deep already? Or?
It wasn't that bad, but it was. Yeah, it was getting there. I first noticed something where there's a scene where they go to a ballroom. I can't remember what it's called.
Yep.
And they do a whole dance sequence, and then there's a really quiet bit where it's just
the most emotional part of the movie. I felt.
Yeah, there's well, certainly for me, because I only saw half the movie. There's
you'll never know until you watch the other half.
Yeah, Glinda and
Elphaba.
Alphabet soup.
Alphabet soup, yeah.
Alphabet spaghetti.
Yeah.
She's turned up at the ballroom and she's got tomato sauce all over her. But also no, there's an emotional bit where it's just them. They're just about becoming friends.
Yep.
And it's this really quiet, emotional bit, and all I could hear was, and I thought,
my first, in, or is it?
Honestly, my first thought was, they've really messed up the sound mixing.
Okay.
I sat there thinking, they've really messed up the sound mixing because all I can hear is the waterfall. and in retrospect, I never saw a waterfall. There was no waterfall, but it looked like a place that could have had a waterfall.
I was going to ask whether or not you accidentally walked into one of those 4DX screenings and they were trying to simulate her crying, and then they just had water trickling down. And you could smell the tomato soup.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a given because I was eating.
And then
tomato
the usher
soup
comes through and starts giving everybody like alphabet soup.
Yeah.
And there's only the letters that spell out Elphaba.
Well, you only. I was going to say you only get your row. Here are the H's. He's calling across. Right of H's. How many of you are there? How many? No. How many of you are? Not how many of you got. How many of you are there?
Leroy, we've run out of Z's.
Forget it.
we need more Z's.
Just turn the ends 90 degrees.
There's like there's a chef out back just like filtering all these.
Knocking them out. Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's not enough time. Fantastic. So
I thought it was the sound mixing, and then I thought, no, it's not coming from the screen. And a few people thought the same thing. I thought I'd gone mad. I genuinely thought there was like a dozen people in the first few rows just furiously eating sweets.
Gosh,
you could just hear like, but really quick. So I was there like, my God, someone really likes their Tangfastics. They're going for it. But then I noticed a few people like one after the other going down to where the flooding was.
Yeah.
And then one of them like ran off really, really quickly.
Okay.
I just thought, well, when you gotta go, you gotta go. I guess someone wants their jalapeno hot dog or something.
Yeah.
And then the next scene came on, and she was singing about how she was going to make Elphaba popular.
Yeah.
And I just looked down, and the person next to me, I didn't know who they were. They just looked at me and I went, is that what I think it is? And she just went, yeah, I think it is. And then the lights came up and the film stopped. And
So was it a packed cinema?
Pretty much packed.
Packed. Okay. Yeah. And was it one of those regular screens, or was it in IMAX, or was it what kind of screen?
A regular 2D screen.
Screen X.
Yeah. I felt bad for the manager. He just looked so tired. He was just like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
I do not need this right now.
Oh dear. But for the first 90 minutes, did you enjoy the first 90 minutes?
I did enjoy part one of part one. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So essentially, you've watched a quarter of the movie.
I guess I've watched a quarter of the story, yeah.
Yeah. But incidentally, you've actually already seen the stage show, right? The stage production musical.
I have.
So you know what happens.
I know generally
up until
what happens.
The interval.
I've heard that there's a lot more from the book in the film.
Oh, okay. Right.
Because I questioned really 2 hours 40 for Wicked.
Half of the story, yeah.
Yeah, for part one of the story. But
what is this, The Hobbit?
Yeah, I've heard it's got a lot of baggage, isn't it? Because I did wonder, is it going to be aware of its own identity because it's based on a book, but it's also based on a stage show, and also there's the Wizard of Oz, and there's Oz the Great and Powerful, and
yep. Well, it kind of reminds me of how they made a movie called Mean Girls, and then they did a musical called Mean Girls, and then they made a movie about the musical. So that's called Mean Girls, the musical movie. And coincidentally,
I did think there was a bit of Mean Girls DNA in this.
There definitely was, especially Ariana medium-sized coffee. I'm here.
Don't look at me like that.
So yes, she was, I think, a bit of a standout in this movie, and I wasn't expecting it because I knew that she has history of acting in Nickelodeon shows, or was it? I think it's Nickelodeon or Disney Channel or something like that. So she has the acting chops, and then she segued into being a pop star, and then now it's 2 and 2 combined. It's like, oh, why don't we get the pop star to do her acting chops again? And I thought she was great in the movie, even though you didn't get to see the other half. From what you saw,
no, I only saw the horrible Glinda.
Okay, you didn't see the. Well, you saw a bit of the nice Glinda,
yeah,
because only halfway through the song. This is when she had her little character arc.
And the dance scene where everyone dances like Mac from Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the elbows.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to see how far I want to get into without going spoilers. But the fact of the matter is, this musical has been around for a long time. But you can't assume that everyone's seen the musical. So
no, I think it did. I don't know about you. Have you seen the stage musical?
I have, yeah, a very long time ago. So incidentally, when I watched the musical, I thought the interval was the ending.
Okay.
Because
you were like, wow.
I was like, that's a cliffhanger.
I guess, yeah. Time to go.
Right. But watching the movie, everyone's watching it thinking it's a cliffhanger now. So everyone's been put into my shoes into thinking, where's the rest of the story?
You're ahead of the game.
What was funny, it was like, at the time I was sat, because, this was over 10 years ago. I was a student. I didn't have a lot of money. So the only tickets that I could afford were the ones right at the back. So I had to have binoculars to be able to watch the show properly. Wow. Everyone was just a speck of dust from far away in those back seats. So the binoculars really helped to see some of the detail. And then halfway through, I put the binoculars back because you have to rent them. It's about like £5 to rent the binoculars for the whole show.
Right.
I put them back.
Don't worry, I brought my own.
Right. So I put them back, and then once you put them back, it locks it. You have to put another £5 in. So when the interval happened, I thought that was the end, and I put the binoculars back, and I just turned to the person I was watching with, and I just said, "That's an interesting ending. Anyway, I guess I don't need these anymore." Click, and it was like, "That was the interval, you idiot!" I'm like, "Ah!" So I had to fork out another £5 for the binoculars for the second half.
You went, "Oh!" and someone thought, "Wow,
that guy's
carrying on through the interval."
Yeah.
He's going to do that thing where he sings a song, but it's not like a high emotional bit. He's just singing about what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm walking round the house. Ham or cheese, whatever happens, I'll toast my bagel.
That's how Hamilton came about.
Really?
What's this guy? What was his name? Lin-Manuel?
Okay, Lin-Manuel.
He was singing ham and cheese around the house, and he said, "Ham and cheese? Hamilton?"
What?
I'm rich.
I'm
I'm
blind.
Okay, let's go back to the movie. So what happened? Okay, so I guess you can't really give a proper rating because you haven't seen the whole movie. But I guess you could
I
rate
guess I have
the
to give
start of the movie.
a whispered rating.
Whispered
for
rating,
part one
yeah.
of part one.
Let's just talk about production design, the musical numbers, the acting. What did you think?
Well, I'm not going to talk as long as you. I'll just do a little bit. But yeah, I agree with you that I really liked. I liked all the main performances that I saw. I liked all the sort of the small side characters. They were very entertaining. I liked the Prince guy that showed up, and he had that song about how it's better to be dumb. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
essentially Gaston,
young Gaston, like skinny Gaston. I like that he did his own little handstand flip thing.
Yep. I'm sure that was real as well. I don't think
in my cynical head, I just thought, they're going to cut to a different shot and it's going to be, But then he turned around and like, oh my God, it's actually you. You're not so dumb after all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to talk about her performance not seeing the other side of the character, but I thought the performance of Glinda was great because it's such a heightened story.
Yeah,
it's a musical and it's set in this magical world and it's got all the other musical theatre tropes. I'm not a fan of all of them, but I could see past them for this. But it was a sort of character that, we've all known a Glinda in our time.
Yeah.
And if you haven't known a Glinda, listeners,
you look at me like I know this person.
Chances are you probably are the Glinda.
Okay. Yep. You look at me as if we both know a Glinda. But I don't know if...
I don't think we've met the same Glinda. But
okay. But I'm sure there has been a Glinda.
Yeah, in each of our lives. And they've probably met themselves and thought, oh, what a Glinda.
So, Elphaba, which I had to look up what the name Elphaba means. And apparently, it's a phonetic pronunciation of the initials of the original author of Wizard of Oz, which is LFB.
Okay.
Elphaba.
Sure.
So, I looked up Glinda as well, and apparently that's just the name Glinda. there's no meaning behind that. It's just
we'll just put Linda and just stick a G on it, like we did with all the other words. Like when they talk about that's a great horrific or whatever they were doing.
I could be wrong about that. So if anyone wants to fact check me, they're more than welcome to. But yeah, I got to watch all of the movie, and I will say that there are moments where I got quite emotional, especially the dance scene in the middle and towards the ending as well, which I won't spoil for anyone who hasn't seen it. And you already know vaguely what happens anyway. But I think the movie is quite faithful to the source material. And I think there may have been a few changes here and there. There was one moment that was very much a fan service for theatre people. And I had to turn to my partner and say, is that who I think that is? And
is this said, the cameos?
And then she said, yes, it is. And I was like, oh, okay, great. But I won't
Is that really Arnie and Sly on the screen next to each other?
Wow, they don't look like a day over
95.
So
they don't look a day over aged meat. I don't know.
They don't look like a day over corned beef. So that aside from that little bit of fan service, which I could see that was literally in there for it. For most part, it was quite faithful from what I remember, and I think critically, and I'm assuming box office. I haven't looked at the numbers. I think it's going to be doing really well. I reckon, and there's only one gripe that I have is that this part one is almost the same duration as the whole stage show.
Okay.
So in a way, they could have probably fit both parts in one movie if they made it a 3-hour movie, but they didn't. So now we have to wait a whole year for the rest of the story. That's my only gripe, and it just felt like it was kind of trying to do the whole Harry Potter final chapter part 1, part 2,
the Hobbit.
Yeah, the Hobbit part 1, 2, 3,
which could have been one thing.
So to be honest, that was the only thing that was frustrating for me. But it did feel like a complete movie, which it kind of wrapped things up in a way that there was a character arc. But if I'm being really honest, I don't even remember the second part of the stage show. Okay. So it would be a nice surprise to recap all that in a year's time. And hopefully in a year's time, we'll be around to still talk about it.
Yeah.
And then also, hopefully, your cinema floods again. And then we'll have
I could just sort of piece together.
Yeah.
Glinda's a horse now?
Yeah. What did you think about the goat?
Oh, you know what? When I saw Peter Dinklage on the credits,
yeah,
I thought, really? I haven't seen him in any of the ads, but then he was the goat. I
only found out at the end when the credits rolled, and it said Peter Dinklage as the goat. And I was like, oh, wouldn't have known. I forgot how he sounded, to be honest.
Right.
I think there are some people saying, oh, I wish there were just actual people dressed up like goats instead of an actual goat, because it took them out of the movie. But I don't think I agreed. I thought
that
the goat was fine.
That would be ridiculous.
It'd be like Thundercats. Oh no, it'll be like that terrible Cats movie that came out, where they're all cat people with fingers and toes.
Yeah, and wedding rings
like that. Anyway, so I think I'm gonna give the movie, in terms of my own rating, I think it's a solid chatting pit. I think, because I could give it a chatting pitch if I was more of a fan of musicals. I don't think I'm a big enough fan of theatre to warrant giving it that much. There were times when maybe I was just tired, but I did yawn a couple of times, only because I think I have a horrible dependency on caffeine right now. And that probably... And also, right before the movie, I had a very sugary drink, and I think I was having a sugar crash halfway through.
Oh, okay. So wait, let me just clarify this for anyone listening. So you're not giving it a higher rating because you had a sugar crash. I almost fell asleep.
Well, no, I think if I was tired and it was a movie that I absolutely loved, I don't think that would have been an issue.
Sure.
I think I would have made the adrenaline rush would have made me stay awake. But I think because of the nature of my state at the time, and I guess because I'm not the biggest fan of musicals, I think chatting pit is, I think that's pretty generous.
Yeah, I'd say if you are a fan of musicals, then you're probably going to love this. It does have those tropes. I don't know if you're thinking of the same thing, but I do have an issue where you see a location on film and it doesn't look lived in enough, which for me takes it out a bit. But I know that's the sets are not built for, okay, this is where the people live, and so this makes sense being here and this makes sense being here. The sets in a musical are built for, okay, the choreography is going from here and then we're going to go to here to here, so it's not going to look 100% natural. So that's my thing. I'm not a huge fan of that.
Okay.
I think if I feel bad giving it a rating only seeing half of it, but I
guess you can't really.
What I saw was a solid chatting vibe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think some of the sets were too polished? Did it feel like too much of like a studio?
A bit too polished. It reminded, there was one outdoor scene and it reminded me a bit of, when if you go to a place like Disneyland, and then you have a location that's at Disneyland that's built to look like a place, but it's clearly all fake and none of it's lived in because it's a theme park.
Arguably, that could have been intentional because it is based on a theatre show. and all the
Yeah,
steps are made to
and
look a certain way.
And those people who are fans of musical theatre and that genre, musicals in cinema, will not mind that. That's my thing. But, you know, it's our rating system. So what are you going to do? You're going to sue our butts off?
You can't see this, but we're shaking our fists.
We haven't got any money. I don't even have money for fists. I had to sell them.
No, I've just got these two nubs.
I've just
which I call arbs. I've just got 4 arms now, no hands. So I guess there's no real point in going into spoilers because you haven't seen the whole movie. And if I did, are you going to go back to the cinema to watch the other half, or do you think you're going to use that free cinema ticket you got to go watch another movie that you might enjoy?
I'm going to see Gladiator 2 again. No, I don't think I'll be doing that. Possibly, I'll possibly go and see Wicked again. It's all about time, isn't it? Being a grown up.
And you know what? Also,
tiny child.
Could be good for timing is that if you decided to go watch a movie, like a completely separate movie, once that's finished, if you time it so that the end of that is halfway through a Wicked movie, you just hop into the other screen and watch the rest of that.
Sure. Yeah.
And just be like, I was supposed to watch the rest of this. Like, why give me a free ticket when I've already seen the first half of the movie? You should be giving me a 3.5, you know? That's how I think. Like,
although they could turn around and say, well, actually, we gave you half a movie, so here's half a ticket. If you're going to argue like that, sunshine.
Yeah.
I just went to see Conclave with Ralph Fiennes, and now I'm going to watch the second half of Wicked.
Is that a movie that you're looking forward to, Conclave?
I think I would like to go and see it. Do you think we should review it?
We could. Does that come out next week?
I think it's next week, 29th,
well,
I think.
There's another movie that I really wanted to go see. Was what was it called? Heretic, which has Hugh Grant.
Okay. We could do a double.
I heard that was quite good. But I need to find the time to watch that. Anyway, we're not here to talk about those movies. No. I think...
do you think, before we go on to other stuff, do you think it ultimately warrants the runtime?
Let's just say I didn't find myself getting bored.
Okay.
I enjoyed the movie quite a bit, but I think I was just tired. But does it warrant the whole runtime? As a movie, probably yes, because I don't actually remember all the details. But as I was watching it, I didn't see anything that felt like this shouldn't be in the movie.
Okay.
Other than maybe the cameo, but that's mainly just for a like fan service. And I guess spoiler alert here. Do you care if I talk about spoilers?
Go ahead.
Okay. So spoilers. If you don't want to hear about this, skip ahead. But there is a moment in the movie where they bring the original stage production
of Batman.
Elphaba and Batman. Yeah. So Elphaba and Batman go head to head, and they do the movie Batman v Superman beat for beat.
But in the style of the 60s.
It goes on for a good half an hour, so that's probably why the runtime is what it is.
Elphaba defeats Doomsday in a surfing competition.
Chow! Yeah.
I think Glinda's gone to space.
No, let me go back to what I was saying. They did bring out the original stage production Elphaba and Glinda on screen.
Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth?
Could be. I don't remember who the Glinda actress was. But Idina Menzel, or as John Travolta calls her, the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem.
A bling, a gaflong. A flan in the oven.
I just love that video so much.
A blin, a clom. Thing is, what I didn't get about that is that they are reportedly quite... They know each other like, relatively well.
Well, John Travolta
that would be similar to me going, hi, this is Chatting Pitch. We do movie reviews and story pitch ideas. My name is Matthew D. Smith, and with me is my co-host, as always, Blinga Flong. And then it cuts to you and you're like, my name is actually Leslie Way.
You have me mistaken. That's my distant cousin, Blinga Flong.
You have me mistaken for a cartoon Swede. Blinga Flong.
I'm pretty sure that's cranberry juice in Swedish. So yeah, that happened. And then I remember just thinking to myself, are these two actresses in this movie, are those characters from the stage show that they've repurposed them to be a part of the movie? And then I went onto YouTube and watched that part where they go to Emerald City is where they go to, where the Wizard of Oz lives. And they do this big dance number. And then I was watching the stage show, and nowhere to be seen were those two actors or those two characters.
So it's just new characters that they...
So they're new characters, specifically just to please the theatre lovers out there. And they did a few nods and winks to the camera, and was like, oh, okay, great. I kind of got the references, but I also... Yeah, they did exactly like that. They look like broken animatronics, just trying to...
Blinking and nodding and shaking. The Phantom of the Opera.
Welcome to Emerald City. Yeah.
I highly recommend the hotels, but not that one.
It's a shame you didn't get to watch the rest of the movie. Nixon as that was the big when Wizard of Oz has the big mechanical thing, it was Nixon, you know? I am not a wizard. It's a shame that you didn't get to watch all the way to the end, because I quite like Jeff Goldblum's character.
Okay.
It just felt like Jeff Goldblum was doing... Do you know who he plays?
He's the grand old wizard, isn't he?
Yeah. So he comes out and he's the wizard, and it's Jeff Goldblum, and he's just doing his old Jeff Goldblumisms. And I remember you telling me that your wife said he was a bit toned down or was a bit odd.
She said, this is, for any previous listeners, this is the Chatting Pitch lawyer. Yeah, she described it as very un-Jeff Goldblum-y.
Okay.
He wasn't doing the usual...
I had the opposite.
Yes.
Glinda. When he came out of the big robot Richard Nixon, he kind of said... He said stuff like, yes, so sorry about that. And he had
Emerald, like stroking his own face. Emerald, City. Yeah, it's very, very honestly, good. Very good, Glinda.
Very good.
Very good. You'll make a fine witch of some description. Maybe Bubbles.
Can you tell we like Jeff Goldblum here? So yeah, it's a shame you didn't get to see that, but who knows? Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll agree with the lawyer, or maybe you won't. I particularly liked it. When I was watching it with my partner, I turned to her and I was like, "This is Jeff Goldblum. He's still got it." Anyway, let's go to the next section. Let's talk about pitching. So let's do a pitch.
Okay. I guess we could pitch.
Thinking,
go on.
We do something to do with either musicals, or we can adapt Wicked into something. Okay. Maybe it's Richard Nixon as Elphaba.
I was the wizard the whole time.
Or it could be anything that has anything to do with flooding.
Flooding. We could pitch
the musical.
The second half of part one, but if a giant flood just destroyed the whole university. I wish I went to a university like that, though. Let me tell you.
But the wizard
the big presentation thing that they had, and like, here are your room arrangements, and then they just been trying to bring John Lovitz back.
I always come creeping back from
here. They are.
Perfect. So Yeah, you got anything? I've got nothing.
Or we could pitch part 2. So where does part 1 end?
So the part 1 ends with Elphaba. She's being cornered by all the authorities in Emerald City. They've outcast her and said she's a traitor. She's a witch. But in reality, it's what was it? In this movie, it's Michelle Yeoh. What was her name again? Professor Morrible, I think. She was the one who kind of framed her and made her.
Oh, she's a bad guy.
She's a bad guy, really. So Elphaba goes, you know what? I'm going to do this on my own. And right at the end, she's like, Glinda, do you want to come with me? And she just says, I wish you the best. No, not really.
I think I'll leave it, mate. I'll leave you to it. You seem to have a pretty good handle on that broom, as it were. Yeah. You go and have some fun.
So she ends up going up on a broom. She flies off into the sky and goes off, and she's on her own.
Continue your narration. I was doing the soundtrack underneath.
Oh, and then the credits roll, and it says Peter Dinklage as the goat. Yeah, so that's how it ends.
Okay.
So I'm guessing she's flying into space. So she's going into a galaxy far, far away.
That's why they're using the Star Wars theme.
Yeah.
They were telling you that. Well done, Leslie.
The next movie will be Star Wars Part 2.
It's Wicked Part 2 in space.
Yeah. Wicked.
I want this Death Star operational.
So
right
Richard
now.
Nixon is Darth Vader.
So he's the wizard in the sort of Darth Vader role.
So we're doing a Wicked and Star Wars crossover.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess that's what we've stumbled into. We've fallen into this bush, Leslie. Let's pick the thorns out of our butts and see
she
what
flies
we got.
so far into space that she flies into
the plot of Star Wars.
The plot of Star Wars, and she lands on.
What's that? Is it a sun? No, it's the opening crawl of Star Wars. Bam! She hits all the letters, turns it into alphabetic spaghetti. There we go.
Yeah. It goes all red and turns into and that kind of makes sense because it's like Siths are red. That's right. And then she turns up at the Death Star. Darth Vader, as played by Richard Nixon, says, "Who is this witch and why is she coming in alphabet spaghetti?" And she says, "I'm not a.
That's not soup, is it? I love soup."
Yeah, and then they have a bond. Because of his love for soup,
his love for soup,
accidental covered in soup.
Yeah. She
her
got framed, so I guess everyone thinks she's on the dark side, but she's not.
They both have the Force, don't they? They both can telepathically do stuff.
I'd love to see Jeff Goldblum with the Force. Wouldn't that be great?
He's the Jedi.
Just using his fingers to move that over there, and I can play this piano from across the room.
Well, now you can.
Nice. Yes.
Now you can with this hypothetical.
Yes, Adim Flop. Yes, my good friend. A beam Dazim. That's very good, Leslie. Intercut there.
So where do we find Jeff Goldblum's hybrid wizard / I mean, he might as well be in a big robe.
So
right?
are there two wizards now, or are we're just casting Jeff Goldblum as like the
wizards are the
Obi-Wan
Jedis,
type character,
and the witches are the Siths, right? So
so Richard Nixon is just the robot.
Yeah,
because I guess Darth Vader is part. He's like a cyborg guy, isn't he?
Yeah. He's got a breathalyzer. He breathes and a
breathalyzer. Because you got to check.
I like to imagine
Richard
Nixon at the end of episode 3, where he's like, "No,
you don't have the higher ground."
And Jeff Goldblum. Maybe Jeff Goldblum was actually the Obi-Wan character, and he's like, "Yes, I have the high ground."
He doesn't even finish the sentence. I've got the high Yes.
Yeah, yes,
the Force.
The younglings.
That would be. He's just found out the younglings have been slaughtered by Richard Nixon, and his response is, "Yes, younglings."
Yeah,
wipe cut to.
This really is just Jeff Goldblum and Richard Nixon's movie, right?
So what happens with Elphaba?
Elphaba, well, I guess she's the new prodigy of Darth Vader. She's going to be, I don't know, turned into the biggest Sith Lord around. But she's green, and everyone knows that if you're a Star Wars fan, you know that green is actually good because of Luke Skywalker's green lightsaber during the Return of the Jedi, I believe. Yeah. Which apparently served no purpose. It was just, we need a new color of a lightsaber. Right. Green actually represents good in lightsaber colors.
Because they both begin with G. I can remember that well now. They both begin with G.
Right, so...
but blue starts with B, and bad begins with B.
What about red then? Red means... Randy.
Darth Maul with your double-headed lightsaber. You certainly are Randy tonight, aren't you?
Darth Maul.
Can I touch it?
What is this movie?
No, Jeff Goldblum.
This movie makes no sense. So, what's the goal here? So, I guess Elphaba...
There is no goal, only Goldblum.
What about Glinda? What's happening to Glinda? Is she?
So I guess Glinda's like on the light side of the Force.
Yeah, but there's going to be and
Yoda could be someone else who was born from the green elixir,
right?
And he could bond with.
It could just be Yoda and just be like, "Hey, I am your father."
Hey, yo, I'm Yoda. I'm Yoda. Sorry, I'm late, guys. Right. Want to hang?
You know what? I think he turns up and so
are you retconning Wicked so that the guy who has an affair with the mayor's wife is Yoda?
Yeah. No, it doesn't sound like that in this movie. He's
and
like,
then it flips the Star Wars. Sorry, Yoda, may have heard of me, big time. Me? Like lots of like pointing at himself, like
dude is me. I am dude Yoda.
I am dude Yoda.
At one point, right, I want Elphaba to realize, like, to find out that Yoda is actually her dad.
Yeah, because then it flips Star Wars.
And then she finds that she's got a little bit of leftover alphabet soup, right, on her body. It's a D, and she puts it slowly on his name badge, which says Yoda, and puts it right at the end, and it spells Yo Dad. And she's like, "Oh my lord, everything's coming. Everything's making sense." She uses
the Force to move the D from the soup as well. Yeah. So there's like a close up, and you can see all like the sauce dripping off it and all that.
And there's this dude, it's like.
as it hits his name tag.
And then he's like, "I'm your dad."
Yo dad is me.
Your dad is me.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So she finds out, so that's her. Like she's unsure. She's been framed for this evil thing that she's done in Wicked Part 1. So now she's thinking, well, I didn't actually do the bad thing, but I'm being framed as the bad guy. So which side do I choose now? And Yo Dad is the one to convince her. You need to come back to the light. Lots of finger pointing. You need to come back to the light with me.
Yeah. So was Yoda played by Robert De Niro?
Is that just because of the face I was pulling?
Yeah. You were like, "You coming with me?"
You want to...
I said, "Are you coming with me?"
Hey, you. I'm just doing the head nod.
You can't see this, but Matt's doing a cracking impression of De Niro. Yeah.
And I can say it's
all in the face
because it's an audio medium.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it.
You're trying to mind wipe me. You're trying to mind wipe me.
So we haven't touched upon
Nobody
Glinda
else's mind a wipe here. You must be trying to mind wipe me.
We're just adding characters.
He's turning into Trump. You must be trying to. You're trying to mind wipe me.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work. Haven't got a mind. Haven't got a mind. I'm your dad.
Let's not have Trump in this movie. I don't want Trump. I don't want Trump in this. The D does not stand for Donald. It stands for De Niro.
Yeah.
Yo,
De Niro's never working with Trump. I mean, come on.
Yeah. In the credits, can it be Yo Dad, played by Yo De Niro? Robert Yo De Niro.
In a mocap suit. Because he did the dots for The Irishman, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So we can go full
They've got that
mocap,
information there. They could just take that out.
Yeah.
And then
we don't even need to tell him. We don't even need to pay him.
Can Yoda's face look just like Robert De Niro's face?
It's De Niro's, but on top of normal Yoda skull with the big ears.
So far, we've talked about what characters we want to be played by these actors.
Yeah.
What is the story?
What is the story? So,
okay. So at one point, she finds out that Yo Dad is her dad.
Yoda is Yo Dad.
Because they're both green. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, Glinda has to get back to Elphaba, right?
So I think they have a big song and dance / final battle.
It's still a musical, isn't it?
It's still a musical, yeah.
Star Wars the musical.
Yeah.
Right. So I've got the Force, you've got the Force.
We've both got the Force.
Bum, bum, ba-da-dum, bum, bum, ba-da-dum.
Is that as they're like doing the high kicks in the background?
Yeah. It's like the can. Yeah.
Yeah. Got some like canning stormtroopers in the background, like
like in Moulin Rouge.
Like when William Shatner did the George Lucas tribute. Have you seen that clip?
Yes, I have.
It's outstanding.
So at some point they start doing karate.
So they have a big final battle musical dance number. So they're singing and fighting with lightsabers. I guess Galinda's, like, every time she hits something with her lightsaber, bubbles come off. Maybe she's got one of those bubble wands. She picks up her bubble wand, and, like, as a viewer, you're thinking, it's just a bubble wand. But then it lights up, and that's her lightsaber.
And the music comes back.
Yeah.
It's just the same song over and over again.
And Elphaba picks up her broomstick, and you think, like, what's she going to do? It's just a broom. Oh, my God, it's also her lightsaber. And they have the big final battle. But halfway through, they realize, you're my friend.
Oh, yeah. And then, like, I guess Glinda strikes her name tag because everyone at the Death Star wears name tags now.
Yeah.
Because of the whole alphabet soup thing.
For admin
hits
purposes.
it. Yeah. She hits it. And then all the words jumbled up, and it spells out family. So Glinda's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot."
Spells out friend,
yeah, with a PH. yeah. It spells out friend, and then they realize, oh yeah, with the power of anagrams.
Yeah.
I've
anagrams
now realized
and music. Yeah,
that we're supposed to be friends.
Yeah.
And then everybody forgives each other because it was all just a misunderstanding because the words were all jumbled up.
And then they take down Robo Nixon together.
Yeah. What's an anagram for Richard Nixon? There's got to be something there.
Richard Nixon.
Anagram.
We can cut this out.
Generator. No, maybe we won't. No, we're keeping it in. We're keeping it in. So you know how Elphaba is all jumbled up and it turns into friend. I know that's not what it spells, but we can force it. For cinema, we can make it. But Richard Nixon, right?
No, I shun horrid climax. Well, they also called him Tricky Dicky, I think.
Tricky Dicky.
I got it.
You can make the XI into a Roman numeral.
Oh, so he's the 11th emperor.
Yeah, it jumbles up to was it this one Danny Orkin the Eighth.
Danny Orkin the Eighth. That's right, fellas.
It turns out he's the new emperor. Yeah, he gets a big hood on, and then he's got electric coming out of his hands, where the electric is all spelled out into different alphabet.
You remember Danny Orkin the Eighth from Munchkinville? Well, that's me.
And then I guess with the power of friendship, they put both of their lightsabers together and form like an X for Nixon. And then it just...
And they're like, turns out you're going to be an ex-emperor. Job
Eat
done.
This.
So one of them comes up with something like halfway, like you're going to be an ex-emperor, and then the other, Glinda, is just like, eat this, you mother.
Take that. Bad. One's really good at coming up with one-liners, the other one's just like, whatever. And then the new emperor explodes, and then equilibrium has been restored. The end, I guess.
Easy, and everyone sees how much of a hero Elphaba was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they both stay friends.
Mm.
And then right at the end, someone drops water on her. A stormtrooper drops water on her, and she melts. The end.
And then some splashback goes onto the Yoda as well, and then he melts.
He melts.
And he's like, Yoda out. His frown just gets even frownier as he melts.
He just morphs into this big frown.
Yeah. No dialogue at all, just like the end.
Sucks to be me, huh? And then he just...
All right, great. We did it. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Are we really leaving it at that?
Why not?
Well, that's it. Goodbye. We're nothing if not efficient.
Chatting Pitch has been brought to you by Leslie Way and Matthew D. Smith. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to listen to others and maybe even subscribe. You can follow us on the website, formerly known as Twitter.
Listen to us on Spotify or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Leslie and Matthew have their own side hustles as well. Feel free to check out Leslie's YouTube channel or Matthew's Medium blog. Links in the description. If you want anything else, we might have other links in the description if we think of anything interesting to add. Thank you for listening. I love you.